All right. We're gonna give it. Wash the dust off my face. Appreciate everybody jumping back in. It's 6:38. All right, I'm gonna go through this book. Give it about I'm getting it honked out due to my All right. So let's see. Well, I'm sorry about that, Carolina Big. All right. So we give it about 30 seconds, see if anybody else jumps in, and then we're going to go right to it. We'll do this about maybe 20 minutes till 7. We'll go to 7, and then we'll just go from there, okay? All right. So if somebody has something they want to ask, drop it down in the comments. If there's something that somebody wants to go over, I'm sure it's in this little thing. I can go to it, and then we can go from there, and we kind of just feed off each other. I'll go in a direction. As long as it stays on topic, we're going to try to stay on topic. And as long as it stays on topic in the book, I'll address it. If it's a different question, we'll just wait until the end of it, and then I'll try to revisit that question. All right, everybody good with that? We're at the 3-minute mark. All right, so right there is the restoration process that I was just explaining to you that Elko said he appreciated. So like, record the hours you spend on the project here. Step 1, removing all the paint, all the old paint, right? Step 2, clean and corrosion protection. That's step 2, right? Step 3, prime for corrosion protection. That's step 3. Step 4, bodywork over epoxy. There's a big controversy over that. People's like, oh, I can do bodywork over bare metal. Says it in the book, don't do it. There's a lot of reasons why. Bodywork over epoxy. Step 5, corrosion protection. Low overexposed metal, right? Step 6, primer filler. Step 6, primer filler. Step 7, block sand. Step 8, primer surfacer, final prime. Step 9, final sand. Step 10, sealer. And in parentheses, it says optional, right? It is optional, but I would highly suggest you using sealer. And we will revisit that in a minute, why I say I think you should use sealer. It will benefit you and your project, but we'll go back to that in a second, okay? Step 11, clear coat or color coat, base coat or single stage. So that means base coat is just base, right? No hardener, no activator, it's just base. Most base coats mix 1-to-1. There is some companies out there that their paint mixes 2-part paint, 1-part reducer. I don't know anybody right off the top of my head that does that anymore. If somebody does, drop it down in the comments. But most of all your paint products, if it's not reduced, it mixes 1-part paint, 1-part reducer. What that means, if you put 4 ounces of paint in a cup, you put 4 ounces of reducer, that gives you 8 ounces sprayable, okay? That's what that means. If you do it 2-to-1, what that means is if you put 4 ounces of paint, then that means you only put, hold on one second. Somebody's here, hold on. All right, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen. All right, I'm back. Yeah, we good. We good. All right, boys and girls, let's get back to it. So sealer is an option, right? But we'll talk about that in a second. So you got base coat and clear coat, right? So you got base coat and clear coat. Base usually mixes 1 to 1. And if the base coat says it mixes 2 to 1, what happens is you're putting 4 parts paint and 2 parts reducer. Right? So that's that, right? So you're like overcompensating for the paint. I appreciate it. I'm good. I'm good. I'm good. So I got all the text messages. I'm good. I appreciate it. So that's that. And then you got clear coat. So you got clear coat. You got different types of clear coat. You got panel clear, which is just one panel, like a fender, a hood, stuff like that, right? That's that, right? Then you have speed clear, which is like if you're doing a bumper cover or a back bumper cover or a fender or mirrors or small like door handles or stuff like that, use speed clear, all right? Then you have, I wouldn't use speed clear all over because you'd never get through it. Speed clear is for small parts, small like small parts, all right? So you got speed clear. And then you got clear that mixes 2 to 1, which is a European clear. So 2 to 1 is European. European, right? So it's based off of European because it's 2 to 1. Then you have some clears that's 3 to 1. Then you have some clears that's 4 to 1, right? And then you got some clears that's like, then you got specialty clears where they mix weird different ways. And I'm not even gonna say the name, I'm not even gonna say the numbers because I don't want nobody to get confused. Then you have weird clears like matte clears, semi-gloss clears, eggshell clears, where they mix different, where it'll be this many parts of clear and it'll be this many parts of hardener. And by the way you mix it is how you get the sheen of eggshell, matte, semi-gloss, gloss, or flat. So that's that, okay? All right, so we good on that. So we're not gonna talk about safety. We're not gonna talk about that. Not gonna talk about that. So paint basics, right? So in paint basics, the paint components in paint, you got pigments, and in the pigments are finely ground powders from natural occurring synthetic produced minerals provide color and special effects, sandability, coverage and hiding power, adhesive, durability and corrosion resistance, and filling properties. So what that means is you can get some paints that are cheap. He's like, oh man, I can get this stuff for $40 a gallon. Okay, great, it's $40 a gallon. But if the opaqueness of it, the coverage or the hiding power of it, if you bought a pint of it, and you're like, man, I can get this pint of paint for 40 bucks. But it takes 5 pints to cover, it don't cover worth of crap. Then you have to mix it. Instead of mixing it 1 to 1, you gotta mix it like 2 to 1. So you got the cover power, meaning the hiding power. So you gotta be careful on stuff like that when you're buying paints. You know, you can buy like Omnia, for example. Omnia's reds don't cover worth of crap, right? They don't cover worth of crap. So it takes multiple coats to achieve what you're trying to achieve, right? Then you got special effects. You got the prisms in them. You got the toners. You got the micas. You got the pearls. You got all that stuff in it. And sometimes you have synthetic, and then you have earthbound, right? PPG used to have a color line called Vibrance, right? They had their Vibrance deck. I got a Vibrance deck. They had a lot of bad to the bone colors. But all the pearls and the micas that they were using to build those colors came from an island in the Philippines. And then when the tsunami came through, it washed that daggone island away, and all those pigments that they were using to make those colors are gone. So they remade those colors, but the effect of those colors are not the same because they're not the same pigments. So you got the same color, but you don't have the same effect because the pigments and the toners and the mica pearls that they were using were not man-made, or they were God-made. They were earth-made. They weren't synthetic. So they refracted light different. So when that island went away and they couldn't get those minerals no more because they got washed away, then they started making them synthetic. And by making them synthetic, they didn't achieve the same effect as they would if they was natural prism toners, if that makes sense. Now, somebody that never seen the original color would never know that the replacement color wasn't the same because they never seen the two, all right? Then you got the sandability. Some stuff sands like concrete. Slick sand sands like damn concrete, right? And it's because of the sandability, all right? Then you got the filling properties. I'm painting it black. So pure black, straight black. And you're gonna say, well, my car's black. And I'm gonna say, give me the paint code. And you give me the paint code, and then I look it up and I tell you got 18 different colors in your black. It's not really black. All right, then you got resin, okay? Resin is the backbone of paint, and it is needed for filming, forming, pigment binding, durability, gloss, velocity, and adhesion, right? So that is another thing. So if you buy clear, and you mix the clear up, right? You put the clear in your mixing cup, you put your resin in it, and you mix it up. You put your reducer in it, and you mix it up, and you hold it up to the light, and it's yellow in color or amber in color. Like you hold it up and it's amber. That is a low quality resin. Now let me tell you what the paint reps are going to tell you. And let me tell you what the DYI web's going to tell you. They're going to tell you that yellow one in that is the UV protection. They're going to tell you that the more it's yellow, the more UV protection. I'm telling you right now, horseshit. That's not the answer. The answer is the quality of resin that was used to make that product. The grade of that resin to make that product was not very good. So the resin scale goes from 0 to 18. 18 being the worst, 0 being the best. So companies try to get somewhere in the ballpark and halfway. So if you got 0 and 18, what's half of that? 9.5. Nah, Jay, half of 18 is 19. Or half of 19, or half of 18 is 9. No, you forgot the 0. What's half of 0? Half. So if you got 0, you got 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. That's 20, right? Or that's 19. So what's half of 19? 8.5. You're 9.5, excuse me, 9.5. So 9.5, 9.5. Because you got to count 0. You can't leave out 0, right? So they try to get somewhere in the ballpark of that to try to get the best they can get money-wise. So the higher dollar the clearer the resin, right? So if you can get a clear that is, once you put the hardener in it and you mix it up and you hold it up to the light and you can see completely through it, like it looks like water, you can see all the way through it. That is a very low grade, that is a very high grade resin, meaning it has a low number, meaning it's less than 5. That's what that means. My car is at the paint shop now. What do you know what paint they're using in Pallet J? Do you know what brand they're using? And then I can go from there. Because a lot of companies, a lot of paint shops, they use a brand, and if you tell them I want to use this, they won't use it. And that's a good question, because let's say they're using Sherwin-Williams, right? And I'm sure Sherwin-Williams has some good high-end clear. And I tell you to use 21, I tell you to use 2021 PPG, or use Vibrance or 4000 or something like that. Well, you don't need to mix products, right? So if they're spraying your car in Sherwin-Williams, I don't know. Sherwin-Williams, a lot of, you don't need to mix products. So if it's Sherwin-Williams paint, you need to put Sherwin-Williams clear over it. If it's House of Color base, you need to put House of Color clear over it. If it's BSF paint, you need to put that on it. Eastwood. I'm sure I'd have to look in Pallet to see what Eastwood carries on their high-end clear, and we'll go from there. Hey, there's nothing wrong with Mako. There's really nothing wrong. I got 2 or 3 students that's been there, and they paint like 17, 18 cars a week. And there's nothing wrong with Mako. You can actually go into Mako and they'll give you a checkbox, and they'll give you a standard package, and then you can go through there and check, and you can upgrade your package to higher end products. So there's nothing wrong with Mako. It's just got a bad rap. So is that why my Ram has a yellow hue? Okay, so there's a lot of reasons for that, TJ. If I knew the paint code, I could tell you, but let me give you this. Let's say that they used a lesser quality clear, meaning the resin number was higher, meaning that it had more yellow, a yellow tint to it, right? And you sprayed that over like a white or another a color that yellow would overpower. It would have a yellow hue to it. Now, depending on what the paint code is, I can tell you what's in the paint. Now, it might have some type of yellow in the paint. It might have yellow oxidize in it. It might have a flop agent in it. It might have a little bit of, it might have a toner in it that is a little bit yellow. The toner is yellow. It could be cardinal yellow. It could be anything, right? It could be anything. And higher the number, the more the effect. So let's say I was mixing some paint, right? I was mixing some paint, and it says I needed 200 grams of pure white, and then I needed 20 grams of black, and then I needed 5 grams of blue, right? And I needed 3 grams of yellow, right? And I put 6 grams of yellow. Smaller the number, bigger the mistake. So if it calls for 3 grams of yellow and I put 6 grams of yellow, and it was supposed to be 3 grams of yellow per pint, and I put 6 grams of yellow per pint, I have altered that color more on the yellow side, the yellow flop side. So that would be a more variance of yellow. What that means is they have multiple colors out there, and you can pull the paint chip book up, and it'll say this is the primary color, this is a secondary color, this is the third color, this is the fourth color. And then the secondary color, it says it has more red flop. And then the third color could say it's got more of a silver flop. Or then you could have another one that says it's more yellow and more dirty. So what that means is, let's say it's a Honda Civic, right? And it's a silver, right? And then when Honda come out, 2024 Honda, let's say they pick PPG to buy the paint from, right? And they run that car all the way up until the mid 2025. And then their contract run out with PPG for that color. So then they go to then now they put a bid out there to get paint at the lowest price, because they want to try to buy low and sell high, right? So then let's say they get Sherwin-Williams to supply their paint. And they give them the paint code, and Sherwin-Williams mixes up the silver. And now from April of 2025 on, now they're painting all their Honda Odysseys. They're painting them with this silver that they got from Sherwin-Williams. Well, let's say that the paint from Sherwin-Williams was a little bit dirtier, or let's say somebody, because they're mixing this shit in 55-gallon barrels, right? So let's say they was using a different quality toner, right? And that toner, that ingredient, was a little bit dirtier. Say it was a fine aluminum silver, and it had a hint of red in it or something. You know, I'm just throwing numbers, throwing things out. So by doing that, now that color, if you was to have this Honda Odyssey sitting here, and it was, say it was slate silver, and it's sitting here, and you got another one sitting beside it, and it's slate silver. This one was made in January 2005, and this one was made in June of 2005. And if you was looking at this one over here and this one over here, you're like, oh look, them Honda Odysseys are the same color, right? But then you take those two Honda Odysseys and you put them side by side, and they look completely different. But they're the same color. So then when you pull the paint code up and the paint store says, okay, what you got? I got a 2025 Honda Odyssey. And then they say, okay, what year is it? And they pull it up, oh, that's why on the door they got 6th month, 7th month, 8th month, 9th month. And then they say, oh yeah, it's the 9th month of 2025. Oh, then that one right here is this one. It's the variance 2, it's dirtier. So that's how that works. That's why you have to do spray outs. That's why you have to do drop down coats. So you can go in there and so if you pull the paint code up and that bitch has got 7 different variances, you're gonna have to get 7 different variances sprayed out. And you're gonna have to take those cards and you're gonna have to walk out there to the car or truck or whatever it is, and you're gonna have to lay it out there, and you're gonna have to take the sunlight, and you're gonna have to lay the sunlight on it straight on. You're going to have to lay it straight on and look at it like this. Then you're going to have to look at it at an angle. Then you're going to have to look at it in the shade. Then you're going to have to look at it. You're going to have to look at it from different multiple angles, because the reason why is you look at it from different multiple angles. By doing that, you're going to see how much flop is in it and how dirty. So if you got 7 spray outs and you're holding them all up there and you're looking at them, then you say, okay, I think it's this one. I think it's spray out number 2. And it looks like spray out number 5. What you need to do now is go get somebody else, right? You need to get your notebook, and you don't need to tell them, okay? You don't need to tell them. Not the customer, another associate. You need to go in there and get somebody, and you need to hand them 7 cards. And you say, hey, look, man, can you tell me which one you think matches best? And you let them pick the best 2. And then they say, oh, yeah, card number 2 was good and card number 7 was good. And you're like, okay, cool. You write that down. Then you ask another person. And then if you got multiple people, try to ask them. Then you take and look at the cards, and whatever the number is, let's say number 2 was picked 75% of the time. Now you take number 2 card and you go back out there and you look at it in multiple spots of the car. Open the door jamb and look at it in the door jamb. The reason why you want to look at it in the door jamb, because the door jamb don't get sun and don't get blistered by the sun. You need to look at it in multiple different places. All right? You need to look at it in multiple different places. The reason why you get multiple people that you can to look at it, because everybody sees color different. Everybody sees color different. Everybody. More men are colorblind on reds and greens, I think it's red and greens, than women, right? But you get multiple people to look at the card, and that kind of help you to get where you're at. Then once you get where you think you should be at, then you start manipulating that color, right? You start manipulating that color to match the car as best as possible. And then you have to do a controlled blend and drop coat and all, and we can get in that goes way down the rabbit hole. But that's why when you see people's vehicles and the fender don't match this right, or the door don't match right, or something don't match, like, man, who in the hell painted that? Well, there's a lot of moving parts on that. I don't pick on people because you don't know the whole situation, right? And you can't do spray outs underneath fluorescent lights. Fluorescent lights reflect light different than a sunlight or the actual sun outside. So you need to take it outside and let the big eye in the sky look at it, or you need to get you a quality sunlight to look at the spray out panel so you can pick which one matches best, right? Don't ever, ever, ever ask the client at like a collision shop when you're doing like insurance work. Don't never ask them, does this look right? You are looking for a nightmare. Do not ask them. Do not ask them. Do not ask them. Do not ask them. You're looking for a nightmare. Don't ask them. Because they are going to look at stuff different. There was somebody I was talking to a while back, and I said, bumpers, front bumper covers, back bumper covers, and mirrors do not match vehicles. They's like, yeah, they do. I said, no, they don't. They was driving a brand new 2025 Honda. It was white. I said, that bumper don't match. So he's like, yeah, it does. I said, no, it don't. He's like, what? And I said, look at it. It don't match. And then once you point it out to them, they was like, man, this thing's brand new. I was like, it don't match. Bumper covers, front bumper covers, spoilers, rear bumper covers, and mirrors do not match the cars for a lot of reasons. One, they're painted off-site. They're not painted the same time the car is. Number two, they're plastic. And plastic does not reflect light like metal. You go to the dealership right now. You go through the dealership. I don't care if you go through a Maserati dealership. I don't care what dealership you go through. Go to the dealership while they're washed and clean and look at the front bumper covers to the car and look at the mirrors to the car and look at the back bumper to the car and look at the spoilers to the car. They don't match. Let's see. Badass 93 Stang, the average Joe can't see, blend. You can't look at both sides at the same time. Well, yes and no. So let me give you a little bit of scenario on that. I worked at Petty's Garage, and we did high-end restoration, right? High-end restoration. Gaps had to be perfect. Body lines had to be perfect. All that shit had to be perfect, right? Right? And we always used to pick. You can't look at both sides of the car at the same time. You can't look at both sides of the car at the same time. There was a vehicle that came up there and we done, and that thing was nice. This customer had OCD so bad that he wanted his car to be perfect. He had somebody that had a 3D scanner. They 3D scanned his car. They folded it over, and they folded it over, and they did a 3D print on a computer screen and overlapped it. He brought it back and said, the right side don't match the driver's side. The driver's side door is a little bit off than the passenger side door. Fix it. He's like, what? He's like, yeah, they don't match. He's like, what do you mean they don't match? It's like, dude, you can't look at both sides at the same time. You can if you got a scanner. Hey, Matt, I appreciate that. I worked at Mako. We met them 4 cars a week. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, there ain't nothing wrong with them, Woody. All right, I think I got caught up. All right, let's go back, and then I'll pick back up. Blend. Metal facts. Use this or burning. Yeah, that's a good thing, Metal Art. Never point nothing out. Never point. Because we're going to see something that they're not going to see. Never point it out. Now, if they bring it up, then you do the best you can to resolve that situation. But never point nothing out. Never point anything out. Never. You'll never get done. You'll never be finished. And you'll never satisfy them. You'll never do it. I promise you. You won't do it. So don't point it out. Now, if they bring it up to you and say, hey, this is whatever, blah, 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 say, yeah, be honest with them. Say, well, this is the way it's supposed to be. But, I mean, if you want me to, do what you got to do, it's business. You know what I'm saying? Let's see. Brand new Hellcat hood was different from the fenders and those. Oh yeah, for sure. My RAM is like that, 2 different reds, nobody sees it. Yep, Elko. I'm talking about collision side when you have to blend. Oh yeah. I understand what you're talking about. 93 stain. I understand. I was just saying that don't apply every scenario. I mean, I've said that you can't look at both sides at the same time. And I got my card pulled. Well, it was me and 3 other guys, and we was like, what? And we fixed it. I mean, we fixed it, but that's somebody that's like super anal retentive. You know what I mean? I mean, you got enough money to have somebody scan your vehicle and then flip it around and do a 3D comparison, you know, a model to slip it over, and you say, hey, look, this side don't match that side, fix it. And I'm like, what'd you do? Take your eyes off your head and put, I mean, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, so that was more of anal than anything, but we fixed it. That is like you shouldn't have wrecked them. We're trained to see. Yeah. Well, TJ said it best the other day. What did you say, TJ? TJ said something, and I can't remember, and I'm sorry, TJ, but TJ said something the other day in one of the lives that actually cleared that up. That's my fear with the color I'm going with. I'm afraid of different shades. Hey, look, well, see, here's the thing, Carolina Big. Here's one way you can get, there's certain ways that you can get around that. Let me make sure, let me sure I don't. So here's something that you can, here's some things that you can kind of do to kind of stop that, okay? Well, kind of help prevent that. So if you go in and you have them mix you 3 gallons of paint, right? Me and Metal Art was talking about this the other day. He done this on that Impala, all right? If you have them mix you 3 gallons of paint, then you need to go to Lowe's and get you a brand new bucket. A brand new bucket. And you need to get you a brand new paddle, right? And matter of fact, you need to get a bucket with a lid, right? And what you need to do is you need to come home and you need to clean the bucket out really, really good. Get some alcohol, rubbing alcohol, clean the bucket really, really, really good. Really, really good. Get all the oils and everything out of it. Clean it really, really good. If you can find a metal bucket, well, I mean, you can do a plastic bucket. Just make sure you clean it really, 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 really good, right? Take all 3 gallons of paint and pour it in that bucket. Take the lid of that bucket and drill a hole in it. Take a paddle bit for sheetrock dope, right? Sheetrock mud. Stick it through the hole of the lid of the 5-gallon bucket. Put the lid on the 5-gallon bucket. Hook your drill to the end of the paddle. And stir up the paint. Make sure you clean everything really, really good with 91% alcohol. You mix it really, really good. Take the lid off, clean everything, take the bucket, fill up 1 gallon, fill up 2 gallons, fill up 3 gallons, and try to get all the paint you can get out of the bucket. Now, all 3 gallons is completely the same. So if I was mixing your paint and I hit the numbers like I talked about a while ago, if I hit the numbers on this one and I was off by 2/10 or 2 grams, and on this one I was under 2 grams, and this one over here I was over 3 grams. So now I'm -2, +2, +1. See how that worked? But then I poured them all together. Now they're all the same and they're uniformed. That's how you save. That's how you save not having different shades of paint, even though you ordered them all 3 at the same time. Make sure you order enough paint at the very beginning to do what you need to do, and then pour them into each other, and then pour them back out, and now you know every one of them consistent. I worked at a collision shop. I had to add metal and grind to the gaps right after. Yeah, well, it depends. 93 stain, it depends. I had a conversation earlier in the other video. If you was buying like LMC panels and you was buying the cheap panels, or you was buying panels that wasn't platinum certified, and then you got panels that are platinum certified, which attention to detail is a little bit better, and auto metal direct panels, They are GM Restoration authorized dealers, so their panels are going to fit a little better. You won't have that problem with the fitment issue most of the times. Like 95, 96% of the time, the better the quality of the part, the better the fit in the part. But the best part to fit in the beginning is an original part off of something else, like recycled parts. They fit better than reproduced parts. But Pearl set it in the gun, so it will. All right, so here's the thing about pearls in the guns, right? When you get done spraying, turn the gun upside. Now, if you got a PPS cup now, if you're spraying with a PPS cup, when you get done spraying, turn the gun up, unhook the air hose, turn the gun upside down and pull the trigger. What that's gonna do is that's gonna release the pressure and let the PPS bag open back up, right? And then you get ready and you do whatever. Before you go in there and spray, shake your paint gun, shake it to get everything mixed back up, hook your air line back up to it, hold the gun upside down, purge the air line, and suck the PPS cup back into itself until you get a little bit of paint, then flip the gun back over. Now everything's back where it's at. If you're painting something with heavy metallic and you mix up get you some pour lids from a paint store where you snap the lids on top of the paint can so you can pick it over and you can pour it. It has a gear on the top of it, right? Take that gear off of it and get you a cordless drill, right? You can put that cordless drill on that metal rod, which is a paddle. And if you before you mix any paint into a mixing cup, spin that thing. Spin that thing for like 3 or 4 minutes. And then pour your paint into the mixing cup, then add your reducer, then go in there and spray. Every time you mix paint, before you put it in a mixing cup, if it has if it's anything other than solids, if it is mica, M-I-C-A, or pearls or anything, mix that shit up before you spray it every single time. If you go in there and spray one coat and you come back and you wait 30 minutes, mix it, shake everything, spin everything, do whatever you need to do. All right, and go from there. All right, let's see. I had agitator in my pressure pot. Yeah, that's old school there. Is paint over a car better than paint? I won't. So let me go from there. So now you got additives, all right? So we're gonna get to additives. We're gonna end this at 60 minutes. We're at 45 right now. So you got additives, right? Oh, no, resins. Resins is the backbone of the paint and is needed for forming, pigment binding, gloss, velocity, and adhesion. So we talked about resins, right? Now you got additives. Additives are materials added in small amounts to give or improve specific characteristics. UV absorbers, that's the durability. Then you got flow additives, which is leveling agent. Then you got anti-settling agents. Then you got dryers and catalysts. Then you got plasticities, which is flexibility. Flex agents, right? Some people put flex agent in their stuff, but they still sell flex agent. But I've been told that you don't have to use flex agent no more because everything already has flex agent in it. If you want to put a little bit of flex additive in something like bumper cover, like put it in the clear or whatever, I wouldn't put it in the clear. I would use like a high impact clear, then you wouldn't have to worry about it. Anti-foaming agents, I've never used any of that stuff. And then you got solvents, which is your thinners, reduces velocity of the material and changes the speed and the dry and the flash time. So let's talk about that. And we'll finish this up on this, okay? So you got flash times, right? It's the 15-degree rule. I have a video on YouTube. It's the 15-degree rule. If you don't know what the 15-degree rule is, when you get done with this video, type in the search box, 15-degree rule, JG Innovation Garage. That's all you got to type in, and it'll pull that video up. And it's a couple years old, and you can watch that video, right? Yeah, Marble's old school, man. Marble's old school. Hey, I got a Bink number 17 coming, so let's talk about this. 15-minute rule. All right, so when companies design paint and hardeners and reducers, so they designed it in a perfect world, right? In a perfect situation, in a controlled environment. So when you look at a piece sheet and it says 70 degrees, pot life, 2 hours at 70 degrees, right? Flash times in between coats, 5 to 10 minutes in between coats, all right? So what that means is, in a perfect world, 70 degree temperature, 50% humidity, in a perfect world, if you mix this color, if you mix this clear with this hardener and this reducer, 70 degree reducer, there you go. You go in there, you put the first coat down, you got 5 to 10 minutes before you get to the next coat, all right? So if you're using 70 degree reducer and 70 degree hardener and it's 80 degrees, that is the 15 degree rule, right? So it is hotter than the product that you're using. What that means is the temperature, the substrate, which is the panel, and the air temperature is 10 degrees hotter than what the product is designed for. So your flash times now are not 5 minutes or 10 minutes, it's cut in half. So half of 10 is 5, half of 5 is 2.5. So now your flash time in between coats is 2.5 to 5 minutes. That's from the time you start spraying, not when you finish. So if I'm spraying a fender and I start my time and I spray this fender and then I start my timer at the end of my panel when I'm done, you're wrong, because the timer starts as soon as you start spraying. So when I start spraying, the clock is running. It also has to deal with a lot with airflow, how much airflow you have or how much airflow you don't have. If you got a lot of airflow, it's going to dry a lot faster because you have more moving air. If you don't have a lot of airflow, it's not going to flash off. It's going to be stagnated because it's just sitting there and there's no lot of airflow going there. You just have dead space, dead air, right? So now your flash times now are 2.5 to 5 minutes between coats, not 5 to 10. Okay, so we're still using 70 degree product, and now the temperature is 90 degrees. Now your flash time is cut again. So half of 1, or half of 2.5, half of 1 is 1, or half of 2 is 1, half of half is a quarter. So now you got 1 minute and 30 seconds from the time you stop or time you start to the time you start back. Nobody's that fast. Nobody. I'm not even that fast. You will have all kinds of problems. You'll have solvent pop, you'll have dieback, you'll have blistering, you'll have delamination. You are not that fast. You are not that fast. That is like speed clear material. Speed clear is 1 medium wet coat and you're done. Walk away. So how do you fix that, right? This is how do you fix that. So if you have clear, if you got this clear, let's say you're going to use 2100, right? And the hardener is DX61, right? It's the same hardener. It doesn't matter if it's 70 degrees or 100 degrees. It's the same hardener. What you have to change is your reducer. Your reducer has a lot to do with it. If you're using a DT product, which is Deltron, so if you're using 2021 clear and you're using Deltron hardener, you need to use DT reducer. Well, they've changed it now to Nextel, but you need to, or Next or whatever it is. So you need to use that reducer. Whatever product line that you're using, you need to match it in the reducer. Not all reducers are the same. They're not the same. They're not the same. So don't use shop line reducer in Deltron paint or clear. Don't use shop line reducer in Vibrance clear. Don't use Omnia reducer in Sherwin-Williams clear, right? Don't mix products. If you're running shop line, run shop line hardener, shop line clear, shop line reducer. It will save you a lot of headache, I promise you. Do not mix clears, or do not mix hardeners, and do not mix reducers. Don't mix them. Just because it says it's a clear coat hardener and it's made by Sherwin-Williams, don't put it in any other product than Sherwin-Williams. Yes, it's hardener. Yes, it's going to do whatever, but it's not right. The chemical makeup of that is not the same of what you got, and you're looking for trouble. All right? So now let's finish and fix and wrap this up on the spray times for the reducers. So if I got 2021 clear and I got DX61 hardener and it's 85 degrees, right? At 85 degrees, if I use 85 reducer, then my flash times are going to be what the P sheet says at 70 degrees. Make sense? So the P sheet is set at 70 degrees, 50% humidity. That's my flash times. Let's say it's 10 minutes between coats. All right? It's not 70 degrees. It's 80 degrees. But guess what? I'm going to lie to it and tell it that it's 70 degrees by pouring 80-degree reducer into the hardener. So the hardener says, oh, okay, we got 80-degree reducer. So now we're set for 80-degree temperature. So now your flash times is still 10 minutes. It also depends on how heavy and how light you put the clear on. All right, so that is what that is. All right, so now let's say same scenario, but it's 90 degrees outside, right? You can't use 80-degree reducer because you're going to be like you was in the beginning at 70-degree temperature or 70-degree reducer at 80-degree temperature. So what you need to do is you need to bump it up to 95 reducer. So now if it's 80 to 90 degrees outside, you need, and you want a little bit more flash time so you can take your time and not be in such a hurry, you can run 95 reducer. You put 95 reducer in there, now you've lied to it and you've told it that it's hot, it's hotter than it actually is, and it's not. So now your flash time is increased by half. So if it's 80 degrees and you're spray it and you put 95 reducer in there, now you up to the 15-degree rule, you've increased your flash times. So if the flash times is 10 minutes, you've increased it by half. So half of 10 is 5. So you got about 12 to 15 minutes flash time, depending on how heavy and how slow and how fast you spray. I do this shit for a living, man. I taught this shit for 20 years. I know this shit off the top of my head. That is how you do that. So when you go in there and you spray this stuff, how do you know when it's time to get back on it? If you get back on it too soon, it's going to run. If you get back on it too late, you're going to have solvent pop. So how do you know when to get back on it? Okay, on the edge of your panel, you have either paper or tape, all right? You come in there and you go in there and you take your finger on your glove. Don't touch your panel. Touch the paper or the tape next to your panel and you touch it, right? And when you touch it, do it like this. Run your finger like that, like you're getting fingerprinted, right? Just run your finger on it like that. If it comes off and is stringy, like string cheese, if I take my finger and I push it on there like that and I pull it off and it's stringy, it's not ready. It's not ready. Give it about 5 more minutes. It's not ready, right? But it also depends on your airflow. You got to have a lot of airflow. Give it like 2 minutes, 2.5 minutes. You go in there, don't check the same spot. Check right next to it because you've already run your finger on that, so you've already manipulated what you're looking at. So go right next to it and check it and see what it does, right? If you do this and run your finger around there and you fingerprint it, you do that right there and it goes like sticky, like you spilt tea on the floor or you got jelly on the floor and you walk across it and your feet go, sticky, it's ready. Go in there and spray it. Go in there and put your next coat on there, all right? But check it in multiple places because you sprayed different. Like you might have been a little heavier here, you might have been a little, so check it in multiple places around your panel or whatever you're doing and see if it all does that. If it's all consistently and it does that, it's ready to get back on it. If you get on it and it don't string out and you do that and it mars up like you stepped in a mud hole, it definitely ain't ready. Don't spray it because it's going to run off on the floor, okay? That's that. Solvent pop is the same as fish eye. No, solvent pop is not the same as fish eye. Fish eye is caused by contaminants. meaning oil or solvents in the airline or on the panel. Solvent pops is where you get on it too late, right? It's like baking a cake. So if you baking a pie, so let's say you make an apple pie, right? And the pie, you mix the pie up, you put everything together, you put the pie in the oven, and it calls for you to cook it at 350 degrees at 30 minutes, and you put it in there, and you get done, and you cut your pie, and it's all nice and done, and the dough's done all the way through, good to good, right? Good to good. Okay, now, this is where solvent pops comes into play. Let's say you go in there, and you put your pie in there, and you run the temperature up to 475 because you don't want to wait. So what happens is, everything crusts over. So what happens if you don't use the right reducer, right? And you go in there and spray your clear and you wait too long to get back on the product and you don't do a finger test to see if you're ready and you spray more clear on top of that, what's happened is that top layer of clear has crusted over. Meaning it's already crystal, no, I don't want to say crystal, it's already closed off, right? And then you put more clear on top of it. So what happens is you got a hard level, right? And you put clear on top of it. So you got that void in between. So what's happened is those two pieces, that clear on top and that clear on the bottom, are not fused together chemically or mechanically. It's just riding on top of it. It's just here to ride, right? So what happens is the solvents are gassing out of the clear. And they're coming out of the clear. Well, solvents go down and they hit the metal. Well, they can't go through the metal, so they got to go out. So then the solvents gas out. When you smell paint, that's gassing off. The solvents come up to the top and they hit that roof, that crust over. You're like, shit, I can't get through there. So it turns around and it goes right back down. So them solvents are doing this in that product. It's doing this. Well, it ain't going to go through the metal because it ain't going to happen. So what happens is the gas starts building up. And it's got to go somewhere. It's got to come out. So it's going to the least side of resistance. It's the top. So when it starts coming up to the top, you get those little fish eyes. Not fish eyes, you get solvent pops. That's where they're like little bitty balloons. They come up and poof, 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 poof. And now you got solvent pop. That's not fish eyes. Fish eyes is from contaminants from oil or petroleum, right? The only way to get the solvent pops out is you have to let it completely cure out. Completely cure out. That's why UV light's good. And then you have to block sand all that out and you have to start all over. Fish eyes is from petroleum-based products in your airlines or whatever in the shop. Armor All, silicone, any of that stuff. I don't use fish eye eliminator. I don't use a fish eye eliminator on my gun. I don't use fish eliminator in my mixing, because if you use a fish eliminator, you have to use it from start to finish. So if you're going to use a fish eye eliminator, you have to put it in your primer, your sealer, your base, and your clear. You got to use it from start to finish. You can't say, well, I'm just going to put fish eye eliminator in my clear and roll with it. You can't do it. That shit'll crawl off like nobody's business. Don't do it. So the best thing to do is make sure your stuff is clean, 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 clean. Back to the reducer. So now let's say it's 95 degrees outside and you want to spray clear. I don't do it. If it's over 95 degrees, I don't paint. I try not to do all overs, for God knows. God knows, don't do that. But PPG makes a 98 reducer. A 98 reducer has retarder in it. R-E-T-A-R-D-E-D, retarder. It's a retarding agent that actually slows it down even more. So if it's 95 degrees and you're using 98 reducer, it has a retarder in it and it will slow it down even more. I highly recommend don't using it with pearls, candies, anything other than solid colors. Because what happens is if you mix that 98 reducer with that retarder agent in it and you got pearls or heavy flake or anything like that, what's happening is it lets that stuff suspend way too long, and what happens is that shit puddles up and you'll have splotching, you'll have tiger stripes, you'll have modeling, you'll have all that crap will be wrong with your panel, and you'll have to redo everything. Everything. Humidity is a big thing too. Airflow, 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 airflow. Fans, 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 fans. Even when you get done painting, please keep leaving fans on. Because what happens with dieback, I seen somebody said dieback. What dieback is, if you go in there and put the last coat of clear on there and that thing is slicker than a monkey's uncle. I mean, that thing is nice. Boy, you can see in it, whatever. And then you let your fans run a little bit, and then you wait about 30 minutes and you shut it down, you go in the house. Well, just because you went in the house don't mean the paint process stopped. It's gassing off. So what happens is all that gas comes out, and it gets in the air and the atmosphere, and it's up here hanging around, and it's got to go somewhere. So it's not getting sucked out the vent. It's just sitting here hanging, and it's heavier than air, and guess what it does? It falls right back down onto your panel. Well, guess what's wrong with your panel? Your panel is getting crusted over because it's drying. Curing and drying are two different things. So now it's drying. So what happens is that solvent falls, and it lays right back on top of your clear. Then what happens? You can have solvent pop and dieback. You come back in the next day, and you're like, damn, man, what happened? It looks like muddy water. It's just dingy, man. What happened? The solvent's in the air, landed back on your panel. It can't get out of your panel. You don't have the airflow to get it out of the way, and it just laid there, and it's stagnated. It's just, it's done. You're done. You're done. You're done. You might as well just stick a fork in it. You're done. You're going to have to wet sand it all back down and cut it all over and start all over. So buy you some cheap box fans. They're not cheap, hell, they're like $30. Buy you some box fans, and when it's done, if you can open the door, right, and put some box fans up and keep the airflow moving, you're going to cut it and buff it anyway. So what does it matter if it gets a little bit of trash in or a little bit of bug in it? You're going to nib it out anyway, so who gives a rat's ass? I would rather cut out a bug, cut out a piece of trash, than have dieback and have to redo the whole panel. We call that alligator ass. That's funny. That's funny. So that's that, okay? So now, let me tell you one last thing. How do I stack clear in one session and stack 7 to 8 coats of clear? You remember the 15-degree rule? That's what I do. So I try to spray when it's at least 70 to 80 degrees, right? That's like perfect, right? 70 to 80 degrees, perfect, right? And 50% humidity. That's something else too. If you got a lot of moisture in the air and you don't keep that shit moving, moisture likes isocyanate, they attract each other, and then that's what causes the gumminess, and it don't never cure and it don't never dry. Dry and curing is two completely different things. Something can be dry to touch, but if you scratch it, it pulls off. That's not dry. That's dry. This is not cured. That's completely two different things. The last thing, so if it's 80 degrees, right, and I'm spraying 2021 clear, I'm running 95 reducer. Now, 21 clear is like a production clear. Everybody says, oh, it's a production clear. They got 3,000 clear. They got 4,000 clear. They got 2,500 clear. They got 2,000. They got all these numbers. But 2021 is like the cat's meow. It's like the flagship for some PPG stuff, right? And then you got Vibrance 2050, and then you got Global. When you get to Global, we're talking about $300 a pint. And ain't a lot of people got time for that. Ain't nobody, I mean, it's just insane. It's like $300 a pint. Vibrance is like $1,000 a gallon, right? So if you're running 2021 and you want to stack multiple coats of clear or any other clear, Glazerous, whatever, the same concept works. You just got to make sure you put your damn Q's and P's where they're supposed to be, right? So yeah, 2021 is nice. I'll go back and read all the comments. I'm trying to not look at them so I don't get sidetracked. So you can take 2021 clear, right? And I spray it with a 1.5 OP, right? OP is like a RP, right? The OP is like Luma's Exodus gun. The 1.5 OP is sort of like the RP, but they couldn't call it RP because of patent reasons. I also have a 1.2 SATA RP. That is a friggin' water hose, right? So, and then I have a wad of Supernovas, a 1.2 HD and a 1.3 HD. Super nice guns. All right, so this is how this works. So if I'm going there and I'm gonna start stacking clear, right? I lay my base down, right? I lay my base down, I'm done. I leave. 12 hours later, 24 hours later, I come back. I tack everything off, I'm ready to go, right? I go in there, let me back up. I spray my sealer, and then I leave. I come back 24 hours later. Then I spray my base, I come back 24 hours later, and then I spray my clear. So it takes me 3 days, 3 to 4 days, if I'm not doing no graphics or no nothing like that. It takes me 2 to 3 days, and if you're doing graphics, you got to run DBC 500, intercoat clear, or something like that, but we're not going to get into that right yet. So if I'm going there and I'm going to clear it, I tack everything off, we're good to go. I mix up my clear, right? I mix up enough clear so I can go in there and get at least two coats on it, right? 2021 does not have an induction time. You got to make sure, I know Spy stuff, Spickle Spy, they have stuff that has an induction time. What an induction time is you mix it and it has to sit there for 30, 45, or to an hour before you can even spray it. 2021 does not have an induction time, right? So you mix up the clear, you do all your stuff. I make my PPS cups, I get them all up. I get like 3 or 4 cups, 32 ounce cups or 40 ounce cups or whatever I'm doing. And the first batch, I go in there and we're ready to go. So if it's 80 degrees, I'm using 95. If it's 80 degrees, I'm using 85 or 90 degree reducer. Whatever it is, I'm using the next stage up is what I'm using. So let's say it's 75 degrees, I'm using 85 reducer. I go in there and I spray my coats down, I do my whole thing. As soon as I start, I hit my timer on my cooking watch, and then I go to it and I do my cooking. I do the cook. Right? When I get done, I hit my timer. That sees how long I was in there. I reset my timer. I got both timers going. I got this system, and then I'm just sitting there. I don't leave the booth. I set my ass right in there in the booth. I don't walk out. I stay right there, and we go, right? I wait 15 to 20 minutes in between coats. I go in there. I do the finger test. We good to go. Everything's good. I walk back in the mixing room. Less traffic, less static. I walk back in the mixing room. I mix me up some clear. All right, I mix up the clear again. I run 85 reducer. I go in there and I put 2 more coats on. All right, I let that flash off a little bit longer. Right, I check my finger, make sure it's good. Then after everything's good to go, I got 4 coats of clear. I walk back into the booth now, or back into the mixing room. I'm mixing up more clear. Now I'm using 95 reducer. I've increased my reducer a whole point up. Right. I go in there, I don't over-reduce my clear, and I don't do flow coats. I don't believe in them. If you do it, that's great. I don't believe watering it down. I just don't believe it. I don't believe it. I just, the physics of me doesn't compute in my head. Why would you buy liquor, if you was a drinker, why would you buy liquor and water it down? So why are you buying your clear and watering it down? When you water it down by over-reducing it, you're putting more solvents in it and less product. All right? There's better ways to lay it slick than over-reducing it. That's a whole nother topic, and I'm sure I'm going to piss somebody off on that. And that's okay. If you do it that way, that's great, and if it works out, hallelujah, I'm glad everything works out. I don't over-reduce clear. I go in there on my 5th coat of clear, and I lay it to it. Right? And then I wait 30 minutes. 30 minutes or better. And then after that done, I fingerprint it to see what it's doing. I walk back in the mixing room. I mix me up some more clear, and I put 95 reducer in there. I go in there and I put another coat on that bad boy. So now we got 1, 2, 3, 4 coats. Now we got 5 coats, we got 6 coats. I see what it looks like, how it feel, what am I looking like? Are we good to go? Does it look good? What am I doing? Does she look good? Does she smell good? Does she taste good? Yeah, let's go, right? If I'm gonna put a 7th coat on there, I go back in the booth, I mix me up some clear. The last coat, I throw that 95 on there, and I mix 95 and 98. You just said a while ago you don't like using 98. I don't like using 98 on pearls, candies, flake, silvers, stuff like that. So my last session, I do half 95, half 98, and I mix it. I go in there and mix my cup. I go in there, I spray the last coat on it. I throw the towel in it. I'm done, baby. Done and done. And I leave my fans running all day, all night. the big fans are pulling 32,000 CFM of airflow, I leave them son of guns running for 24 hours. I do not turn them off. I let them son guns eat. I turn the lights out. I do not turn the heat on. I don't do anything. I let them fans do their deed. I let them fans do what they do. Suck. That's what I let them do. I let them do like a crack pipe on payday, baby. I let them do it. I let them do their job, and I let them run, and I don't turn them off. I don't open the door. I don't come back in the booth. I don't do anything. I come out and I leave and I'm done. 24 hours later, I walk back into the booth. I open the door. I turn the lights on. I go around. I look at everything. Once I look at everything, everything looks good to go. I turn the fans off. I turn my little box fans on. I leave the mixing door open. I open the side door on and I let that son of a gun sit in there. Well, I pull my tape. Let me take that back. So if I got any tape around anything, I pull all that. If I have any tape edges, I pull that. Let me back up. If I got any if I got any tape edges that I need to pull my tape or my fine line tape, I pull that about an hour or two after the fans are running. And then I come back out and I'm done. But if I don't have to pull no tape or no fine line or nothing like that, I let that son of a gun cook and eat. I don't do nothing else. I come back in there the next day, like I said, I open the side doors. Do not open the big doors. I open the side doors. I put some box fans in there, and I let that son of a gun run for days. For days. I let it sit in there for days. For days. 4 or 5 good days. On the last day, what I'll do is I'll shut the intake filters. I'll seal them. I'll leave the box fans on. I'll turn my heat on. I'll run my heat up to like 80 degrees. I'll let my heat run for 80 degrees for about an hour, and that will do anything that I need to do. I'll shut it down. I'll let it cool down on its own. Once it's done, if everything's good, I'll pull my paper down around on the pinch welds and stuff like that. And then and if it's a nice, pretty sunny day, I'll roll that heifer outside and let her get a suntan for that big eye in the sky. I'll let it sit in the sun from like 10 to 2. I'll roll it inside the booth. I'll let that sun gun cool off for about 2 hours in the shade, in the booth, out of direct sunlight. I'll roll that heifer back out and let her catch the evening sun, and then I'll roll her back inside. Back and forth, back and forth. That's what I'll do. That right there, boys and girls, is why it does not cost $2,500. So let me get caught up on the question, on the comments. All right. All right, let me get caught up. I'm trying to get, all right, I seen the jelly comment. Okay, I see, that was word the same, okay. We call that, yeah, gassing out, yeah, that's right, Stain, gassing out. Shell over, yep, that's another word that's been used. Yeah, they got fisheye eliminator, Bill. I don't use it. I don't use that. I don't use any of that stuff. Pod extender where you can extend. I don't use any of that additive stuff. Path leads to resistance. Yet same thing can happen with filler. Yeah, same thing can happen with filler too. So you're waiting until it's not stringy. Yes. Yeah, just fingerprint it. Slicker, yes. Dieback, we call that, yeah, I got that. Chemical reaction is the heat, yep. Hey, Bill, classes in session, uploading mother account. Yeah, 21, control the heat with the weather, yep. That retarder's off of stuff. Yeah, more Mac. Yeah, that retarder, that 98 reducer, that's, yeah, man, that stuff is, I don't use it except on the last coat of clear with no pearls. The clear we use is about, Vibrance is like 1K. I mean, and I know that Glazer's clear, that 50, 50, 35, and Global, Lord have mercy, Global clear from PPG, that shit's like 300. Last time I bought some, man, it was like $300 a quart. $300 a quart. Do you cut your sealer before? No. My PPG sealer's got 72-hour window. More Mac. Do you cut your sealer before wait? No. PPG's DOS sealer has got 72 hours. Shop line sealer's got 72 hours. You got 72-hour window to get back on it without sanding. Can you leave your blade? Yes. Yeah. I just turned my gun upside down like I was telling Carolina Big, and I pulled the trigger because I use a PPS cup. So I pull the trigger to purge it out. And then before you spray, you actually spray into your hand or something. And I also clean the end of my gun, my nozzle. I take the nozzle off and I clean it every time. I don't take the tip out. I take the nozzle out, not the tip. Okay? Appreciate that, Pat. Hit the subscribe button. Keith, I did that when I painted mine palette shape. Yeah. Carolina Big Art guys gotta go. Yeah. Mr. Random badass know about that shit. What's that, Mr. Random? What are you saying? We got 27 people and 26 likes. I don't want to read too much into that, Mr. Random. What are you saying? Can you clarify that for me? I don't want to read too much into that. So what are you saying? If I'm doing a ton of spraying, I run clean, clear reducer through my gun. Yeah. Don't overthink it. I'm not overthinking it. Words have a lot of meanings. I had a topic about that the other day when somebody said whatever. You know, whatever can be used for a lot of things. I'm not overthinking it. I don't know. Metal art. Yeah, that's a good, that kind of goes back to that question that I was asked, or what was asked. If I'm doing a ton of spray and I run, yeah, so if I'm doing like a ton, like I'm going to be in here for a long, long time, I will turn my gun upside down. I will pull the trigger to purge everything out of the gun. I will take the PPS cup off, and I will clean my gun out. So maybe, and I will use 3M gun cleaner, or I'll use virgin thinner, not recycled thinner. I will use virgin thinner, and I'll clean my gun out. And then I'll purge my gun before I do anything else. Whatever is just like anyways. Yeah, whatever is disrespectful, man. If I say, man, congratulations, but whatever, you know, I tell you what, if your girlfriend or your wife says, you say, hey, honey, can I go fishing? Yeah, sure, you can go fishing, whatever. Your ass going fishing? No. You can go fishing, but when you get back, it's going to be whatever. I appreciate it. This is great. Hey, I just wanted to kind of just stay on track. I think I got everybody's questions, everything. I don't think I missed anything. If I missed anything, I apologize. There is a shitload of damn... Matt, I appreciate that, man. I appreciate that. I didn't see that super chat, man. I appreciate that. I'm sorry that I missed you. I appreciate every single one of you. Told some game today. Yeah, I give out that free information. So been on here for 81 minutes. We got 28 thumbs up. We got 23 people in the chat. Look, that's what my channel here is for, man. I mean, hell, we talked about making mashed potatoes earlier today and cornbread. I mean, there ain't no telling what we'll talk about tomorrow. But I'm going to try to go live 3 times a day, okay? I'm going to try to go live in the morning, mid-afternoon, and the afternoon. So I'll try to have something. We'll do some more in the book. I mean, hell, I just got on page 11, and hell, the book's got 167 pages in it. So we just made it to page 11. So depending on how everything goes tomorrow, I might tap in tomorrow. But I need to get with Tulu to find out what time he's going live tomorrow. If Tulu's going live, Tulu's going live, then I don't want to kind of overlap his live and my live, because I know a lot of people enjoy going to his live and blowing off some steam and getting some information and putting feelings out there. So I don't want to kind of overlap the two. So I might have to collab with Tulu and see what time he's going live tomorrow and adjust that. But I will go live early in the morning. It'll probably be more sanding on the truck. And then I'll go live again. I got to make 5 more sets of LS coil pack covers. I got to get those made before Monday. Tulu just said he's going 8:30 tomorrow. So that means to tell me that I need to get my shit together and have it done before 8:30 tomorrow. So I appreciate every single one of you. Like I said, we like 280 from 4,000, 280 from 4,000 subscribers. Man, that is crazy. I just hit, let's see, 8, 9, 10. I think I hit this 13,000, 13 or 14, 13,000 and some change, or 14,000 on Facebook, which is crazy. Facebook is completely different than YouTube. I get less traffic on Facebook, but more followers. I get more traffic on YouTube, but less followers. Does that make any sense? The last video we had was 10,000. The last video I did before this one, 10,000 people was watching. How about that? Excuse me. Appreciate you, boys and girls. Hey, I appreciate it. I'm learning. Remember I said, boys and girls, don't worry about the man up the road or down the road. Sweep off your own front porch while sweeping off anybody else's. I appreciate every single one of you, man. Hit that subscribe button. It don't cost a dime. My family's home, so I'm going there and check them out. I'm going to do some eating, and then we'll go from there. Remember, hold on a second. Hold on. MCC will need you teaching. Whoa. Hold on a second. Ted Kearns, do I know you? MCC will need you teaching class one day. Well, all you got to do, Ted Kearns, if you work for MCC, I'm already on the payroll at MCC. I'm in the Rolodex at MCC. All you got to do is tell them ladies over there at MCC to pull my name up in the Rolodex and tell them to give old Jay a call, and we'll talk about it. As long as the paper's in the hand, I can put the information in the ear. I'm just saying. Lego. Oh, me. Because if I'm out to do it for a bunch of kids, that's like juggling cats. I'm just telling you. Remember what I said, boys and girls? Don't worry about the man up the road or down the road. Sweep off your own front porch while sweeping off anybody else's. Put God first, let loose and drag. Peace, some chicken grease. I'm out.